Hey everybody! So finally I'm making a video and I'm just going to be talking about my journey to conquer depression. Some people may know and some people may not know that I used to be depressed and I used to struggle with depression. Um, Sometimes it may be a little hard to believe now because I'm a pretty upbeat person, pretty happy. I love to be positive. I just love being happy. So, kind of knowing that or hearing that would be a little like, what? Really? Um, but yes, at one point I was very, very depressed and it was definitely taking a toll on my life. I wasn't living life exactly the way I wanted to. It wasn't as pleasurable. So it was really difficult. But in this video, I'm going to try not to be too long, but I'm just kind of going to basically just give um, the background of my situation and how it felt, what was going on, and how I got to a place of finally conquering the depression that I was dealing with. So first things first, people like depression is a huge thing. There are so many people that are diagnosed with depression, especially in America. Um, you constantly see antidepressant commercials, and a doctor is very quick to put you on antidepressants if they feel as though you're depressed. And often, a couple of them tried to put me on that, but I just was like, no, I'm not taking antidepressants. I mean, in a sense, it makes you feel like, is it that bad? Am I crazy or whatever? But when I was afraid that if I started taking them, that it would get worse, and that yes, it may make me feel a little bit better, it may release certain hormones in my body, but at the same time it would add other problems and other issues. So I opted out of taking medication for my depression. I wanted to deal with it on my own, and that's what I did. So let's start with where this all started. I think I first started feeling depressed when I was in about seventh or eighth grade, that's pretty early. I wasn't It wasn't a constant thing. I wasn't constantly depressed. I just had, a couple of episodes of it. I do remember during this time I was homeschooled, which like my life wasn't bad or anything. I had a great life, great childhood, like everything was awesome. Um, and due to family reasons, I became homeschooled, and it was fine. And I know that if I wasn't homeschooled for those 2 years, I would not be the woman I am today because so much was instilled in me. It caused me to mature a lot quicker. That's why a lot of people now, I can't count how many times, even today in this week, people have called me mom or mother. Like I just have this natural nurturing and motherly spirit about me. I've had that for a while, and I think a part of that came from being homeschooled because I was more of a homebody. I helped my mom out a lot and helped with my younger sister, so it just naturally just became a part of me, and I enjoyed that. And the only thing, however, that kind of, I guess, gave me those short episodes of feeling upset and sad, all that, was that although I was very shy at that time in my life and I didn't have a whole lot of friends, um, I was an extrovert, and a lot of people assume if you're shy, you're an introvert. You can't be an extrovert. That's not true. I was an extrovert at heart. I got my energy from people, being around people. I love being around my friends, hanging out, laughing. Like, all of that was great. So, being homeschooled, you have to take an extra effort to be around other, kids your age. And the kids I was around, they often kind of rejected me because I wasn't like them. I didn't go to public school. I didn't do what they did. So it was a little rough fitting in a sense, and I just didn't fit in. So it was a little rough on me, and I was shy too. So that made it like 100 times worse because you got this quiet girl who has nothing in common with you, maybe just the age, and doesn't really say much, is off to herself. Um, Although I did have an underlying curiosity in me and I did like to meet new people and stuff. So I dealt with that a lot, and those certain feelings that, nobody understood. I lived a different life. I didn't know any other homeschool kids around me at the time. So it was a little difficult, but I'm so glad for that experience and I definitely made it through. Um, Then, I went back to private school. It was great. Then I finished out my last 2 years of high school in public school, which really kind of pushed me to get out of my comfort zone and to become a people person, which I am now. And it really brought out the extrovert in me finally. So that was great. I was still fine. Nothing, no signs of depression. I didn't even have any episodes at all. Like, I was good. I was awesome. Just your typical, teenage stuff. But then my freshman year, well, a little bit before that, going into my freshman year, I dealt with it a little bit. I had been through, some things. There were some unfortunate events, but I was fine. I kept pushing, I have, and I did become the type of person where if something happened, I could so easily just kind of brush it over my head like it didn't happen, which wasn't good, but it did allow me to keep it moving without being so stuck in my emotions and my feelings. So I kept it moving, freshman year. It was exciting, new place, new people, new experiences, and I made some very bad decisions, needless to say, that changed the rest of my life, the course of my life. And second semester is when I really fell deep into that depression. People may not have been able to like really tell that much. I hid it very well, but towards the end, it got really, really rough. And when you are depressed, things can seem a lot worse to you than they do to everybody else. Like, other people may look at your situation and they're like, why are you sad? What's the problem? But to you, it's a way bigger deal. And I went through that. I mean, I felt like I wasn't performing as well as I could have been in my classes. So I was like emailing my professors and letting them know. And they were like, you're doing fine. Like, you have a B or you have an A. But I mean, and one of my professors, I remember saying, I noticed, a little change in you. So that kind of, you know, made me feel like, okay, I guess this is real. Like, people can kind of see a difference in me. So I finished out strong, and these, like, in my head, I thought, you're slacking, you're falling behind, but I still made, the dean's list. So it was just like, everything seemed so bad to me, but it really wasn't that bad. And I went into the summer, went home, still kind of had that mentality of ignoring what was going on. But let me back up. I do remember, however, the end of my freshman year, I had reached my breaking point. I had reached the breaking point. Everything that I held on to, everything that was my life and my world seemed to be falling apart. The things that did bring me, a little bit of happiness or whatever seemed to be leaving. So I just lost it, completely lost it, to the point where, I mean, I had been suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts, you don't deserve to live, all this just crazy stuff. I was dealing with demons literally in my head, and it was rough. And I remember even just, it was so bad to the point where I couldn't even make it to this training meeting at work without just, I couldn't make it there. I was walking, literally walking to the building bawling. Like, I could not hold it in any longer. And I feel like from that day forward was when I started my healing process. I let it all out to my boss, who, thank God, was a Christian. And I just, I knew her. We weren't close, but ever since, I feel like that brought us closer together, and she became a really big part of my life. And really just letting me know that everything's going to be okay. Like, you can't beat yourself up about certain decisions that you've made, and you just can't dwell on it. So from that day on, I really started my healing process and really starting to accept everything that had happened, all the hurt that I had, and really acknowledging it. Because for so long, I ignored it. I acted like nothing had happened. I just kept moving, kept walking, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But, you know, coming to situations like that, when it seems like my world is falling apart, or running to temporary feelings or satisfaction, or all this other stuff, would eventually just lead me to break down. But I wasn't in reality at that moment. So it was like, even when I tried to escape, I ended up coming back to my reality in a sense and feeling the pain and the hurt. So it was just really hard. Everything was building up, and then sophomore year got worse. I couldn't even get out of bed and go to class most of the time. Nobody really saw me. I mean, people would even joke and be like, "Where have you been? Do you still go here? Like, you're a ghost, or like you're always in your room. You're never doing this. You never want to get out, blah blah blah." And I tried to kind of, oppose that, like, try to force myself to get out and do certain stuff, but I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in my bed and just lay there. That's all I wanted to do. And it was rough. It was so rough. And it even got to the point where professors and staff and faculty were worried about me at school. And, you know, it was hard. And I had started going to a counselor um, towards the end of my freshman year, and I felt like I was getting better. But I ended up falling back into the same patterns and mindset that I had before, and it got a lot worse into my sophomore year. So I started to see a counselor again, and, things got relatively better. I started thinking better. And a lot of people think that, if you go to a counselor, you talk to somebody, that they basically give you all this advice and that it's just like a magic thing. No. I learned that through counseling, they help you sort through your own thoughts and feelings. Like, they help you understand what's going on with you. They give you strategies and tools to help you really deal with whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it is a mental disorder or depression or anything, how to balance out your life. It could be anything. So going to a counselor really helped me to balance out everything, to accept what was going on, and to figure out how I could deal with it and how I could cope with it, and just to keep myself at a steady, I guess, level, a steady mood. So that was going on. At the same time, I still was sort of trying to seek out God more. I had really ignored him. I ignored him a lot. I wasn't praying really. I wasn't spending time with him. I would listen to a gospel song here and there to help uplift my spirit, but it was only temporary. I was barely going to church. I wasn't really giving God anything at that time. If anything, I'm pretty sure he was very upset with me. I kept going and doing the very things that hurt me even more, and I just didn't care. I did not, and I was so, so hurt, but I kept hurting myself even more. And finally, in my sophomore year, I started to become a little bit more, um, I guess, open about my relationship with God, and that I did believe in God. I did have faith in him, and I did want to live the best life I could. Although I did continue in certain things and a lot of mess, uh, it just got to a place finally about like my junior year where I finally started to realize, you know what? Yes, I've dealt with depression. Yes, I've struggled. But if I want to stay depressed, I can. If I don't have to. And finally, I realized that it was a mindset thing, and I had to make the choice to not be depressed anymore. I couldn't say I have depression. I couldn't say that anymore, because we don't realize that even the things that we say, we're speaking that out loud. We're telling ourselves that that's what's going on. If I keep telling myself I'm depressed, I struggle with depression, I'm going to be depressed and I'm going to struggle with depression, because that's what I'm telling myself. I'm going to believe it. I already do. So finally, I realized that I had to go against that. I couldn't constantly, speak that and speak to basically into that defeat. I could admit that I had struggled with it, past tense, but that I was not going to deal with it anymore. And furthermore, I had to acknowledge that I was dealing with a spirit of depression, and that I had to deal with it hand on. Like, people often don't know what they're dealing with. There's so many people that deal with depression and they don't know. They don't know anything about God or Jesus or have a relationship with him. And it sucks because they're dealing with it on their own, and they're relying on medication, on counselors and all this stuff to help them. And honestly, we all need Jesus. He is the cure. And I realized that the more I got deeper into my relationship with God, the more I just stopped focusing on all my problems and what seemed to be wrong in my life, that I would feel better. I was happier. I was not feeling as depressed. I could get out of bed in the morning. And I think that that's the biggest issue with depression, is that when you are depressed, you're focused on your problems. It's like this huge mental fog. You're consumed in this darkness. You're in the middle of nowhere in this dark path, and you cannot see the light. And it feels like just a lonely place. There's no hope for you. That's what it feels like. And I've been there, and I felt like there was no hope. But the more I started to spend time with God and really just to serve others and get involved in ministry and understand my purpose, I started to feel as though, you know what? There's more than me feeling depressed. There's more to this. There is hope. There's hope in Jesus. There's hope in God. There's hope in my relationship with Him. And even if you have to take it one day at a time, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. It took me a while to get to a place to where I could sort of look ahead. I had to start small and literally one day at a time. Just get up. Just get up. Get dressed. Do what you have to do. Take it. Don't even think about the next day or the rest of the week, the rest of the month, or the year. Just get up. Make it through that day. Take it one day at a time and just rely on God and trust in Him. That's what I had to do. I had to understand that this was a mind thing. The spirit, the demons, whatever in me, in my head trying to tell me that I had no reason to be happy, that there was no hope, that I was in such a dark place, that I should feel bad about this and that, all this stuff. It controlled me because I let it. And finally, I realized that I have control. I have control over this thing. And I have to accept that. And I have to decide that I'm no longer going to deal with this. I'm no longer going to be depressed. And I'm going to speak to the spirit and let it know that, you know what? You no longer have control over me. So you can go ahead and go. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I choose to be happy today. I choose to have joy. My joy comes from God. My joy comes from Jesus. And when you get that joy, when you derive your joy from God, from the Lord, nothing can take that away. I don't care what it is. Now I'm at a place where I have so much joy, and bad things they can happen. They will. They do. But at the end of the day, I know that God is still in control and that I can still be joyful because I know that He has a plan for me. He has a purpose, and there's hope because one day Jesus is coming back, and I'm not going to have to deal with any of the stuff I'm dealing with. I'm not going to feel the pain. I'm not going to feel the hurt. I'm not going to cry. There's not going to be any of that. That's where you get your hope from. You get your hope from Jesus and the simple fact that He did die for you, and you were worth dying for, and you do deserve to live. You do have a purpose, and whatever it may be, you can live it out here on this earth, no matter what the thoughts, the voices in your head try to say, or the people. And I had to get to that place to where I realized that, and I believed it. And even if I didn't believe it at first, I told myself every single day until I did, down to just writing scriptures and posting them on my mirror or as my wallpaper, whatever I had to do to remind myself, there's hope. God has a plan for you. He does. Despite what the voices try to tell you, you better believe it. And now I don't deal with it anymore. I conquered it. I can say that I conquered depression, and it is not an issue. And honestly, does it try to creep back up on me? Yeah. I have moments where, the enemy will put certain thoughts in my head, and I'm like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute, let me fix that, let me straighten that out. Because if I chose to dwell on that thought any longer, I guarantee you, I would have started feeling some type of way. And if I kept dwelling on it for 5 minutes, 5 minutes turning into 30, 30 minutes turning into an hour, and keep going and going and going, I would have ended up right back where I was, right back in that same, pit of just depression. I would have put myself right back there. But, those thoughts do come, and what you do is you dismiss them. That's what I have to do. Oh, no, I'm about to replace this because that's not true, because my Bible tells me that, whatever pertains to the situation. Or, no, God loves me. Like, no, what, really? Come on now. I'm worth living. He died for me. Are you serious? No. Like, you have to counteract those thoughts. You have to. If you don't, you will remain depressed. You will remain feeling hurt. Whatever it is, like, you're going to feel that way. It's going to happen. Feelings are natural. It's a part of being a human being. However, you choose how long you want to feel that way. You choose whether or not you let those feelings stick around and remain. You have the decision. You make the choice at the end of the day. So if you have struggled with depression, if it's something that you've been dealing with and you're sick of, you just want to be happy, you want to feel that hope and that joy, you want to trust in God, you want that relationship with Him, my advice to you is to seriously sit there and think about that. Think about what you want, how you want to be, how you want to feel, where you want to be, and make that choice. It starts here. Make the choice. Make up your mind. Make it up in your heart and your mind that you are no longer going to deal with this. And when you do that, your words need to follow. You no longer need to be saying, I struggle with depression. I'm depressed. No. You have to change your vocabulary. You have to change all of it. You have to change your atmosphere, all that. No more listening to somber, sad songs when you start feeling a certain way. No, you can't do that anymore. If you really decide that you want to conquer this, you can't. There's certain things you have to let go of. You may even have to let go of certain people and relationships that are holding you down and making you feel even worse about yourself. Some people can press you down and put you in that position to where you feel bad about yourself, and they can plant those bad thoughts and seeds in your life. They can do that. But you are the one who allows them. You don't have to put up with that anymore. You do not. Make the decision today that I'm no longer going to deal with this. I'm happy and I'm joyous, and my joy comes from the Lord, and I trust Him, and I'm going to spend time with Him no matter how much I have to fight, even if I have to take it one day at a time. The fact that I'm still living and breathing means that I have purpose. I just know as long as you are alive and breathing, you have purpose. And even after you die, if you're saved, you still have purpose, and that is to continue to glorify God for eternity. So glorify God in what you're doing. Depression doesn't glorify God. The thoughts that get you depressed do not glorify God. Change your mindset and really just put yourself in a place to where you can be happy. Sometimes we're our own Debbie Downers. We are our own worst enemy. Get out of yourself and put yourself in the spirit. Put yourself in the spiritual realm. Look and think the way that God does. Look at yourself the way that God does. Instill that in you. Instill the word in you. Instill good relationships in you. Do that. Like, there's so many resources out there. You can be happy. You can conquer it. I promise you. It's not the end. And I'm here as a living testimony that you can conquer it, because I used to be at rock bottom. I'm telling you, you didn't see it. You may not have. You may have. But I was at rock bottom. I could barely get out of bed. I felt so bad. I was depressed. I was. But I'm here right now, and I'm happy and I'm joyful, and I'm walking in God's calling for me. And I can tell you that you can conquer it. You can do it. You can. I know you can. So I really hope that, being able to hear my story and my testimony about conquering depression has helped you and really ministered to you that you can do it. Whatever it is you're dealing with, not even just depression. I know that was my focus, but just healing from the past, healing from your hurt, whatever anybody's done for you, you can heal. You can heal. It's really just about healing. You can heal. God can heal you. You can't heal yourself. You have to give it to God. So, that's pretty much it, guys. I just poured out my heart there. I hope that it's helped you. I would love your feedback. If you are struggling with depression and you feel like you need prayer or help or advice, anything a little bit deeper or further than this video, feel free to email me at collegegirlsafterchrist@gmail.com. And also, I'm always available to talk or text through the CGAC number. If you need that, email me. It's 804-742-2422. I'm pretty much here, guys. I know what it's like to be going through something and be so deep into it that you feel like nobody can understand, nobody's there. I know. So I really make an effort to really be there for people as long as I possibly can, and just to provide the resources and things that help me, because I know what it's like. And I really want everybody to conquer whatever it is that they're dealing with. I want everybody to succeed and to reach the best possible, version of themselves as they can, and to really deepen their relationship with God. And I may not have all the answers, but at the end of the day, I will point you back to Christ. I will point you back to Jesus, because that's the answer to everything. It really is. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm definitely praying for you, wherever and whoever you are. Thank you again. And thanks. I say thank you a lot. I can't say thank you enough. I'm so thankful for the support, and also just to God. Like, God is so amazing. I'm so thankful that He brought me through that thing. It was so difficult. God brought me through. I know He can bring you through. If He can do it with me, I was such a mess. I was such a mess, guys. Such a mess. You have no idea. And I feel like I'm literally just getting it together, honestly. I'm finally at a place where I can be consistent and faithful to God, and really understanding what that means and being able to do it. You can do it too. So thank you guys again. And if you need anything, know that I'm here. I love you.